So, hello. Today we'll be talking about equality marriages. Equality in marriages. Now, can equality work in a marriage? Equality is another delusional thing women believe in. Equality marriage is another very delusional thing women believe in. A man and a woman can never be equal. Talk more of being equal in something as sensitive as marriage. Any marriage where couple, both partners, I'm talking about the husband and the wife, believe that they are actually equal, that marriage will never last. Why? It's simple. There can't be two captains in one ship. So once a woman believes or has this very, very unrealistic belief that she can be equal to a man, the marriage is going to be affected negatively. Because it's as simple as that. See, no matter what is being preached by the mainstream media, because there are actually some men who now believe that it is right simply because the mainstream media pushes this agenda that you must allow your wife to be your equal, that you must allow your wife to be a partner, a 50-50% partner in that marriage. And even the men who believe in this thing, they end up getting tired of it because they know that innately, inside them, this is not how things are meant to be done. Until the young women of these days come back to the traditional settings and ideology of marriage, most of them will end up having messed up marriages. Most of them will end up going to divorces. Most of them, their marriage will end up in divorces. Because no matter what keeps a man happy in a marriage is his authority. In a marriage, there should be somebody who is the leader, and there should be somebody who is submitting. If a wife believes that he is also a leader to the husband, there comes a problem. Now, the funny thing is that most women believe that they and their husbands are equal when it comes to, making decisions. But they don't believe that they're equal to their husband when it comes to sorting the bills. A lot of women, even in the Western countries, they believe that they are equal to their husbands. But if you check it out, most of them don't pay the same bill as their husband. They always allow their husbands to carry the major part of the bills, the children's school fees, rent, and all those things. But they believe that their partner, that their husbands is their equal. How can a marriage function when both partners believe they are equal? A marriage cannot function. Just like you have a ship, you can't have two captains in a ship and that ship will work, because there will be clashes of ideas, clashes of egos, and clash of decisions. No matter what, in a marriage, there has to be one person who makes the final decision, so that things can be easy for everybody. But if you have two people who are struggling, it's me that will make the final decision, it's me that will make the final decision, the marriage will collapse. In fact, for a woman to even be demanding for equality in a marriage, it only shows one thing, which is that woman is a masculine woman. Because the average woman, the average feminine woman, doesn't even like making decisions. I've met girls who are basically very feminine. They don't like anything that will make them to be in a position where they have to make decisions, especially critical decisions, which basically in marriage, every decision that is made in marriage is critical, because those decisions could make or mar marriage. So any woman who has this feminist ideology that I must be equal to my husband, equal to what? Your marriage will be destroyed. Because the man, at some point, even if the man agrees to that ideology, because a lot of men are being feminized and they are being choked up with these feminist ideologies, the weak men will accept it, that their wife will be their equal. But very soon after a while they'll get tired of it, because it is inbuilt in us men to always want our authority in our home. The man doesn't pack into the woman's home. The woman comes to his home. And that's why if you go to most marriages, the person who pays the rent is the man. Is the man. The person who sorts the bill is still the man. So a man who is carrying all these financial responsibilities needs to have his authority. And a man can be sorting out these bills, carrying out these responsibilities, and his wife is there demanding equality in the marriage. Now, I'm not saying you should not treat your woman fairly. I'm not saying you should not treat your wife or girlfriend fairly. I'm just saying that your woman can never be equal to your marriage. And any woman who believes this thing, it's best that you as a man, you avoid that. You avoid marrying that kind of woman, because that kind of woman will only cause you problems in that marriage. Because you want to make this decision and she will say, no, I want this one. And majority of these women who have this foolish equality marriage ideas in their head or mentality, most of them are selfish. They always want everything to be about them. And the only kind of men who even agree to be in a marriage where they are equals to their wife or their wives are equals to them are weak men. Because a man who is in his masculine state, a man who understands the gender rules, majority of people don't even know what is gender rules again. There are certain things which a man can do that a woman can't do. There are certain things that a man should do, a husband should do, which the wife cannot do. And therefore, the best person for that thing is the husband. And there are certain things a man cannot do that a woman can do. And the best person for that thing is the woman. We have, these modern times has made us to lose knowledge of gender roles, especially with this heavy agenda of feminism. A lot of young women don't even know what they're meant to be doing. A woman's job is not to make decisions in a marriage. That is the job of the husband. And that is why the husband should be the leader of that marriage. And not you demanding for equality. What is equality? Equality simply means a way for you to destroy your marriage. It's as simple as that. Very simple. Because any woman who understands the duties of a woman in marriage won't even like to be on the same level of equality. Won't even like to be equal to her husband. Because the husbands bring more to the table, and therefore they should have more authority. Somebody who does more of the responsibility naturally should have more of the authority in the home. The husband pays the rent, he probably pays the children's school fees, he brings in money for food in the house. At least in 70% of families in Nigeria and even in the Western countries, men contribute more. So what are you guys telling me? Not 70% is very little. At least 80-90%. I don't know the actual stats, but I know that at least in 80% of families, a man who is in good physical condition brings in the major part of the financial needs of the family. Sorts out the financial needs of the family. So if men are doing this thing, and the woman is basically bringing very little to the table, how will the woman now expect the husband to have the same equal authority with her in his own home? You see, the truth is that majority of these girls, you people have messed up mentalities. You people have allowed yourselves to be brainwashed by the mainstream media. And I don't blame you guys, because naturally it's easier to manipulate women than men. This is why a lot of women are basically suffering, because they have been brainwashed. They were lied to. And they only realize this when either they are too old to correct their mistakes, or their marriage has collapsed and it's too late to correct it. That's when their eyes open. For example, the feminism mainstream media, feminism-oriented mainstream media, we tell young girls, you can behave anyhow. If the man doesn't like you or take you serious, it's his loss. You're a queen. These girls will behave like this, keep having this bad attitude, and nobody will marry them. Only for them to reach 35. And they'll realize that, man, I've wasted all my years being a fool simply because I was brainwashed. They will tell a woman, you are a queen. Your husband should do anything you want. Your husband should pamper you. You deserve better. All those stupid things, they tell women. And of course, many women are foolish. Many women are not capable of deciding what they want. This is the truth. Like there is something I always say. Women tend to have what I call a sheep mentality more than men. Women tend to have what I call a sheep mentality more than men. Like women tend to always want to be doing what others are doing. Women are easily influenced by the mainstream media than men. Women always want to belong. It's hardly will you see a woman stand on her own belief, on her own convictions. It's very rare for you to see women who have minds of their own. So that's why it's always easy to brainwash women more than men, because a man, naturally, men are rebellious in nature. Men could easily have their own minds. Not all men, because if you check these days, the mainstream media is also brainwashing many men, feminizing them, making them weak, making them even ashamed of their masculinity. How can a man even be ashamed of his masculinity? Without men, this world would not have been built. Men built every single thing in this world. So anybody who is studying a man, you should be ashamed of your masculinity. That person is a big joke, not only to himself, but to the whole world. Because we are shaming men, you are shaming men for what enabled them to build this world. Because if men were not masculine, what will make them courageous and bold enough to build skyscrapers without safety gears? See, I want to tell you something. I want to tell you guys something. Go to YouTube and search videos of how the skyscrapers in New York were being built in the 1930s. Just you guys should take this as an assignment. Go to YouTube and search those videos. You see men building skyscrapers without safety gears. I mean, these men were like more than 500 feet above ground level without safety gears. So, and a lot of them were falling to their deaths, and yet they were still building. They did not say, oh, because these people have died, I'm not going to build again. No, they are still bold and courageous to keep building it. And we are coming to shame men for their masculinity. I think the people who do this, especially women and feminists, who I consider a lot of feminists are sadistic and very, very depressed human beings. Not all feminists. They are actually feminists who understand what feminism is all about. Then there are people called sadistic feminists. Those ones, they're not fighting for equality again. They are waging a war against masculinity. They want masculinity to die. Forgetting that if masculinity dies, the world will die with it. Because if there are no men in this world, the world will collapse. Who is going to run the world if no men? Every single thing that this world depends on, go to it. Go and check it. The pillars are men. Okay, I'll give you guys a typical example. The world depends on energy and power. Who are those people working in with all these big engines which are powering most or all the facilities which are being used for daily activities in the world? It's not men. How many female engineers are in this world? Or how many women even agree to become engineers? They will go to school and read and study all these simple courses, because naturally women don't like stress. They want easy things, and they'll come out and claim you deserve the same thing with men. How can you be working valueless jobs and you want the same pay as men? Like, some of these feminist ideologies basically is useless. It makes no sense to me. For example, you go to the United States, the female football players in the United States are demanding for equality in the paycheck as men. Don't forget, nobody watches female football. Like, it's basically useless. Who watches it? Nobody. Even girls don't watch it. And now you are looking at men who basically they put more efforts in their football, makes it more interesting, and people watch it. and you're demanding for equal pay. And I think the US government have granted them equal pay. Why would you be taken from a business that is working well and doing very well, and you're putting into a business that is failing? Because these monies are generated, at least 90% of this football revenue are gotten from the men's football, and now you're paying the women the same thing you're paying the men who are generating 90% of this revenue. It blows my mind. This is one of the reasons why the West is on a degradation. The West is in a state of degradation in terms of morals, ideologies, and ethics. Because who in his right senses? Because you want everybody to be equal. You take from one business that is generating almost 90% of the money, and you're putting into another business that is just making 10%, who nobody even cares about, simply because you want to answer an equality nation or something like that. Very stupid. So as I was saying, a woman should never demand for equality in marriage, because naturally it's not her role to be a leader in that marriage. The role of a man in a marriage is to provide leadership, and the role of a woman in a marriage is to follow, is to submit. Now, you can say, oh, as a woman, what if my husband is not wise? Why should I submit to him? In the first place, why did you marry a man who is not wise? See, what makes you a woman? Because some women are like, I can't submit to any kind of man. I'm not saying you should submit to any kind of man, no. In fact, submission is a gift a woman gives to a man. And therefore, since it's a gift, because you are basically handing over yourself to the authority, to the direction, to the guidance of this man. So you should not give it away anyhow. So, as a woman, before you decide to submit to a man, check if the man is wise. Because as a woman, you should not follow a fool. You should not follow a man who is not wise. You should not follow a man who is not sensible. He's not smart. Who you know that if you are following him, you will get somewhere tangible. Not a man you follow and you end up somewhere lost. Because a lot of women are always afraid. If I submit to this man, what if he takes me for granted? What if he's not somebody that is worth submitting to? What if the man is just a useless man? Why the hell would you submit to a useless man? Your submission is not something you give anyhow. You give it to a man who you know is worthy of giving submission to. You don't just give your submission to any man, because already he's directionless, and therefore he's not going to lead you anywhere. Two of you just end up somewhere lost. You can't follow a blind man, because the blind man will lead you astray. So as a woman, before you submit to a man, you should check if this man is worthy of me submitting to him. Because the greatest gift, one of the greatest gifts a woman can give to a man that she's married to or she's dating is her submission. So therefore, you should not throw it anyhow. You should not give it to any kind of man. If you're a girl who is sensible, you should ask yourself, is this man emotionally stable? Is this man mentally stable? Is this man wise? Is this man intelligent? Is this man focused? Is this man disciplined? Does this man have what it takes to lead a woman? Does this man have what it takes to be a good leader? You need to ask yourself all those questions, because you are basically handing over your authority to another human being. And therefore, you should not give it to any kind of human being, or else you are basically in trouble, or in fact, you are basically finished. So this is why I always tell women, in as much as, because the problem these days is that when you talk about submission, or a woman submitting to a man, what women will always say, how can I even submit to a man? That is like me giving away my rights. It's like me giving away my sense of being a human being to another human being. Now, what I'll tell you is simple. Before you submit to a man, because one thing is certain, before any man will agree to marry you, because men control marriage. Men control marriages and relationship, and women only control sex. Understand the dynamics of male and females. Men control relationships and marriages. If a man says that he will not marry, he will not marry. But if you say you won't have sex with a man, he won't have sex with you. So men control marriages and relationships, whereas women control sex. Now, before you submit to a man, because in fact, the thing that makes women attractive, most attractive to their husbands, is the fact that they are submitting to him. That's easy, because once you submit to a man, you are basically like every other thing comes with the submission. Because if you submit to your man, you cook for him, you care for him, you be loyal to him, all those things. So the most attractive thing a man can find in a woman before he marries him or before he takes her serious is her ability to submit. Now, girls will be like, why would I give away my rights? Which makes me a human being, because having rights gives you a sense of humanity, a sense of independence, which all of us love. No human being loves his or her independence being taken away. So what makes us independent is our rights. So a lot of women always like, why would I give away my rights to another human being? And I'm telling you now that before any man will take you serious, you have to give away that right. But there's a but. Make sure you're giving it away to the right person. Someone who is mentally stable, somebody who is smart, somebody who is focused, somebody who is visionary, somebody who naturally is a good leader. Because if a man can't lead, if a man doesn't have his life together, he's going to lead you into nowhere. He's going to lead both of you into destruction. So the man has to be a good leader. And the easiest way to know if a man will make a good leader as a husband or as a boyfriend is how he has led his own life so far. If a man is basically useless, why are you going to follow such a man? Why are you going to submit to such a man? But if a man is doing well for himself, has visions, ambitions, man, submit to that man for Christ's sake. If he has his emotions in check, he's emotionally stable, he's mentally stable, he's wise, he's smart, he's financially okay, then what are you afraid of? Somebody who has led himself to the point where he's doing well for himself. He's not too controlling. Because as a girl, the advice I will give you now is, before you submit to a man, check if he's too controlling. There are some men who are too controlling. I'm a man, I'm telling you girls this now. There are some men who are too controlling. They just are domineering, manipulative, and too controlling. They are overbearing, basically overbearing. So you should check all these things before you submit to a man. Because if you submit to such a man who just wants to control your life, you are finished. Because he will control you until you feel that you are in chains. So make sure that you are submitting to a man who doesn't have that need to always control, domineer, and manipulate you. Submit to a man who is stable, who is calm, who is normal. Don't just throw your submission away, because when you marry, you must submit. Because if you don't submit, I don't know any reasonable man who is successful, because I know all of you girls want to marry successful men. I don't know any man who is successful, who has his life together, who is doing it for himself, who will take a woman who doesn't submit to him. Unless the man is somebody who is just looking for a girl to manage, and he can marry a woman who disrespects him and who doesn't submit to him. Because I know some men like that. They just want to anyhow. Because they lack options. But any man who is successful and has options, don't forget, these days in Nigeria, there's a lot of hardships. There's a lot of hardship. Girls are basically swarming, looking for rich men, looking for guys who have money, looking for guys who are successful. So any guy now who is successful, any guy in Nigeria now who is making at least 1 million naira, 500k safe, even 300k, because how many people are earning up to 300k in Nigeria? Any guy who is earning from 300k in Nigeria is like a big boy, as long as he doesn't have much family problems. Because what kills a young man financially before he even starts life is too many family problems. They will call him, they'll call him morning, afternoon, night. Before you know it, he can't even have enough money to spend on himself, talk more of investing. And before you know it, he's financially frustrated. simply because he has family problems every day. So any guy who's making enough money here now in Nigeria, trust me, that guy is, girls are looking for him. So basically he has options, and therefore the only way for you to make yourself attractive to him is showing signs of a woman that will submit or submitting. So that's basically it. Anybody who's telling you that as a woman you should be equal to your husband in marriage doesn't want your happiness. Because one, you could not marry. You may not even find somebody that will marry you. Because somebody like me, if you tell me that you are somebody who believes that I should be equal to my husband, I will look at you. That's the last time you hear from me. And most men will do this because Nigerian men love their authority in marriages, and men all over the world love their authority. At least 80% of men. There might be few exceptions who are ready to relate to you. But any man who has money, who is doing it for himself, he's not going to share his authority with you, my dear. He's not. So you have no choice but to submit to him. Unless you're comfortable marrying somebody who doesn't who doesn't care about the kind of woman he marries. He's broke somewhere. He basically has no option. That was good for you. But I'm telling you reality. I'm telling you facts. So you have to submit, and you're not equal in marriage with your husband. But he should treat you fairly, and he should also listen to you. But the final decisions and the most critical decisions in a marriage rest on your husband. Understand gender rules, and some of you girls, once you understand gender rules and the role of a woman in marriage and the role of a man in marriage, some of you won't even have the slightest belief in this very ridiculous, laughable, and delusional feminist ideas which are being purported and pushed by the mainstream media from the West. Because Nigerian women easily get influenced by the West. And this is where they get all these nonsense beliefs that they are equal to a man in marriage. Who told you that? That's basically foolish. So that's basically it, guys. See you guys in the next video. Peace.